Conspiracy theories almost never explain the world better than the official explanations we get from experts. They feel sharper, like spoilers that make the puzzle seem exciting, but they skip the boring steps: real evidence, context, and checks. In this video, we tackle myth 2 directly, showing, in simple terms, why those theories often sound smarter than they are. We'll ride along with everyday examples, from why a streetlight goes out to how rumors spread in chat, so you can see what a real explanation looks like. You'll leave with practical, no-jargon tips to tell genuine clues from a dramatic story. Check sources, look for independent verification, notice cherry-picked facts. Stay with us for a quick, useful checklist you can pull out next time someone promises you the hidden truth. And yes, we'll throw in a light joke to keep it human. The appeal of conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories attract followers because they offer simple explanations for complex events. They promise a clear cause, a clear villain, and a neat storyline. When a strange or unsettling event happens, a rumor can spin into a version that feels complete, so people don't have to hold two conflicting ideas at once. A local rumor about a company changing suppliers to save money might become a tale that a hidden board secretly directs every move. The appeal is practical as long as the world looks messy and confusing. Belonging matters a lot. Online groups form around shared beliefs, and saying you see through official versions signals membership. It's like joining a club where the secret handshake is a meme and a bold headline. People enjoy the validation that comes from agreeing with others who seem to get the hidden truth. Simpler explanations also ease anxiety. It's easier to explain a big event with one decisive cause than to juggle many uncertain factors. That ease feels comforting, even if it isn't fully accurate. Emotions drive engagement. Fear, curiosity, and anger light up attention, and conspiracy content feeds those feelings. A punchy post about a shadowy influence can feel urgent and important, so it's shared quickly. Humorous memes or dramatic narratives help the same story travel further. Short, clear messages travel fast online, and algorithms push what grabs attention. The result is that stories with clear villains and obvious plots seem more convincing than nuanced analyses that require time and effort to understand. To navigate the appeal, start with some practical checks. Look for multiple sources and see if they agree. Ask what evidence would be needed to prove or disprove the claim, and whether that evidence is actually presented. Notice if an account relies on a single cause to explain everything, which is often a red flag. Remember that events usually have several contributing factors, not one grand design. When in doubt, step back, breathe, and test the story against everyday experience. A dash of skepticism, paired with curiosity, helps keep both wonder and sanity intact. What it means for a theory to be critical? Being critical means testing how a belief fits with what we actually observe and with independent evidence. It isn't just doubting for the sake of doubt, though that can happen sometimes. A critical theory asks whether the explanation matches real outcomes or if it relies on sweeping generalizations. It looks at the methods behind a claim and whether the claim can be challenged with counterexamples. If data were gathered badly or if the claim ignores obvious contradictions, that weakens it. In everyday life, this shows up when someone makes a big claim but won't show the receipts. Practically, being critical means demanding clear evidence, transparent methods, and the possibility that a claim could be proven false. It asks for multiple sources, checks against what else is known, and considers whether bias or hidden interests shape the idea. It tests predictions, not just feelings. For example, if someone argues a product is unsafe, a critical view looks for independent lab tests, who funded them, and whether results have been reproduced. You don't have to hire a team of experts. You can start by checking credible sources and whether the claim holds up across independent tests. A little skepticism goes a long way, and you don't need a detective badge to see through fluff. Non-critical theories rely on vague language and dramatic storytelling rather than solid evidence. They often say they hide the truth without naming who, where, or how to verify the claim. They cherry-pick data, ignore data that contradicts them, and dodge requests for testable predictions. A common pattern is to present a big accusation and then refuse to follow up with specific questions that can be checked. That pattern is a sure sign the claim isn't built to be tested. To stay practical, use simple steps. Check sources, look for bias, seek independent verification, and compare with other credible findings. Ask yourself what would count as evidence against the claim and whether that evidence is considered. If a claim makes fast, sweeping conclusions from a few odd data points, that's a cue it isn't very critical. A quick exercise is to list 3 questions you would need answered to believe it, then see if credible sources can address them. A touch of humor helps here. Questions that feel too vague to answer are often a signal you've stumbled into less than critical talk. How official narratives are constructed. Official narratives are built through routine steps, not miracles. Data is collected, questions are asked, and the choice of what counts as proof shapes the story people hear. Spokespeople package findings into bite-sized messages that fit a shared frame. Framing decides which angles show up and which details are tucked away, smoothing rough edges so the picture stays consistent. Critics call this spin, yet it's really about turning messy reality into something that's easy to read and act on. Consistency matters. Institutions control the gate. Who speaks, what data is released, and when. Press briefings, official reports, and dashboards steer the public view more than any single rumor. Independent voices exist, but they often struggle to get airtime. Life example, a city touts safety gains after a new policy, while residents notice the daily rides still feel risky. Another example, a company markets a greener product, even when the supply chain is shaky. Data collection and presentation matter. Officials pick methods and filters that smooth the picture and hide rough edges. They highlight trends that line up with policy goals and downplay uncertainties. Think of weather forecasts. Sensors and models feed a forecast, and the public hears a confident line. Where data is fuzzy, a tidy frame often wins. Simple terms help. Averages disguise outliers, and stories need endings that feel complete. Revision is a constant. New information prompts updates, corrections, and sometimes carefully worded retrenchment. Public accountability exists, but can be slow and marked by caveats. Humor slips in when the gaps show up, reminding everyone that the narrative isn't the whole truth. Methods for evaluating explanations. Explanations work best when they fit the evidence and can be tested in the real world. They should be specific, not vague. A strong claim should survive simple checks, not crumble at the first look. If a story relies on a long chain of hidden moves and secret sources, that's a red flag, not a sign of depth. Practical explanations aim for clarity and repeatability, not dazzling mystery. Check the quality and variety of the evidence. Look for data you can verify, not only emotional appeals or dramatic anecdotes. Independent sources matter. A rumor that travels only through close circles is less convincing than one that appears across different people and places. When you hear a claim, ask for the actual proof behind it, and then look for the same proof in other reliable outlets. If the evidence all points to one origin without independent checks, slow down and reevaluate. A simple grocery list can beat a grand conspiracy if the sources disagree or don't hold up under scrutiny. Falsifiability and testability matter a lot. A claim should be phrased in a way that a possible observation could prove it false. If you can't imagine any test that would show the claim to be false, that's a sign something is off. A claim may be supported by successful predictions in new situations, not just by explaining what already happened. If the theory only fits hindsight and can't handle a new situation, it's weaker. Think of it like weather forecasting. A good theory should offer forecasts you can check, not just stories you can retell after the rain. Finally, approach claims with a practical mindset. Ask for concrete tests or experiments, and look for competing explanations that fit the same data. Do not accept a single story as the whole truth. Consider simpler alternatives and the likelihood of ordinary causes. Check your own biases and seek evidence that could contradict the claim as well as evidence that supports it. In everyday life, This translates to cross-checking receipts, comparing sources, and being willing to change your mind when new, trustworthy information comes along. A little skepticism goes a long way, and it's usually spare you from chasing a very loud, very elaborate tale that doesn't hold up. Evidence across cases, when theories align or fail. Evidence across cases shows that a theory gains strength when it lines up with many independent events. A conspiracy claim that ties together several unrelated episodes in a single thread can feel persuasive. The real test is how well that claim holds up when checked against new situations. Without those checks, it's a tidy story that fits our existing beliefs, not a reliable map of reality. When theories align across cases, they create the feeling of a hidden pattern. You might see different stories pointing to the same supposed cause, and the pull is strong. That sense of pattern is powerful because it makes the world feel explainable. But alignment can be misleading if it depends on cherry-picked examples or loose connections. For a simple life example, you might hear several posts claim the same secret explains a local outage, even though each post just repeats the same rumor. There are times when a theory seems to explain several events, only to crumble on closer inspection. If one piece doesn't fit, the whole story often collapses. Hidden tricks like cherry-picking data or shifting definitions are common signals. A quick check across different contexts can reveal the pattern was coincidence or caused by ordinary factors. It's not about bombing every claim with doubt, but about making sure the connections stand up to scrutiny. Practically, evaluating evidence across cases means looking for falsifiable predictions. Ask what would count as proof against the theory and whether that proof has appeared. Compare multiple independent sources, not just one post or one blog. If the story keeps changing to accommodate new facts, that's a warning sign. Be mindful of bias. It's easy to see what we want to see when searching for a master plan. A simple, lighthearted image here helps. Blaming a missing sock on a secret laundry cartel shows how easy it is to spin a grand tale from a small, ordinary misstep. Risks and limits of conspiracy and official narratives. Events rarely come with neat explanations. Conspiracy theories and official narratives are two ways people try to fill the gaps, and both come with built-in blind spots. A conspiracy story leans on hidden hands and secret plans, while an official story leans on institutions doing the right thing in the right way. In plain terms, one looks for villains behind the curtain, the other for justifications from people in charge. Both ways of thinking can feel satisfying because they turn confusion into a single, clear line of cause and effect. The risks of conspiracy theories are real. They can grow from a few odd coincidences into a sweeping tale that explains nearly everything away from the surface. When you assume a single mastermind behind every event, you skip ordinary explanations like chance, miscommunication, or simple mistakes. That makes the world look dramatic, but also makes it harder to fix real problems because the idea is to uncover a grand plot rather than improve everyday systems. People can end up blaming individuals who don't deserve it, or they can stop asking for proof once the story feels convincing enough. It can be exhausting and counterproductive, like chasing a moving target that only exists in the mind. Official narratives have their own limits. They tend to present a cohesive, tidy version of events that fits with what institutions want you to believe. That can make complex situations easier to grasp, but can also gloss over gaps, uncertainties, and disagreements. When details are left out or when accountability is blurred, trust can erode once new information surfaces. A city, a school, or a company might share highlights and downplay mistakes, which is understandable in public communication, but can feel suspect to people who expect full transparency. The danger is not only missing pieces, it's the sense that the whole story might be shaped by incentives, not just facts. A practical way to navigate both kinds of narratives is to test ideas against evidence rather than fear or comfort. Look for multiple independent sources that confirm a claim, and note what sources disagree and why. Ask what would have to be true for the story to hold up, and whether there are counterexamples that aren't being addressed. Check for coherence. Does the explanation fit across different events and data points? Or does it require highly specific conditions? Stay curious about uncertainties and avoid overconfidence in one big answer. A healthy approach is to treat every story as a working hypothesis, ready to be revised when new, credible information appears. And if a theory sounds a little too neat, a bit too dramatic, or a lot too certain, pause and double-check. Sometimes the simplest explanation is the one that keeps room for real, messy human complexity. Conspiracy theories aren't automatically more thoughtful or sharper than official explanations. They tend to grab onto gaps, fill them with tidy stories, and stick to them even when new facts appear. Official explanations aren't perfect either, but they're built on evidence and are updated as we learn more. In everyday life, that means if your weather app suddenly flips its forecast, you don't assume a hidden plot. You check the data and adjust your plans. If a health claim pops up online, you don't run with it. You look for what health agencies and scientists say and see what the studies show. And yes, sometimes official guidance changes as better information comes in, which isn't a conspiracy, it's progress. The forecast can shift, and that's okay. Key points to take forward. Claims help only if they're backed by evidence, not just a neat story. Check sources, look for data, and see if others corroborate it. Watch out for cherry-picked facts and hidden motives. Official explanations evolve with new information. That's how learning works in real life. If you found this useful, drop a like and maybe share a time you checked a claim and found solid evidence instead of the hype. First, I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments. For future videos, we'll keep digging into these myths and how to test them without turning every thought into a conspiracy theory. Next up, Myth 3, how headlines can mislead and what to do about it. Stay curious and see you in the next one.